Hi, and welcome to the Your Good News podcast with me, Katherine Getty. It's easy to believe the news around us that the world is dark and the future is the same. But what if we chose something different? What if we chose to find the good news in each day? This podcast is a collection of interviews with friends, mentors, colleagues on their good news. From business to health to politics and everything in between, it's my hope that you leave with a boost and find your good news. Welcome back to another episode of the Your Good News podcast. Today is a new style for the podcast. It is just me, myself, and I. My hope is to share more of me, share more of the why behind I launched this very podcast. Solo episodes will be something I weave in along the way between some amazing interviews. Don't worry, those aren't going anywhere. As a way of giving you a bit more of my good news. And so, like I start every single episode, I'm going to share my good news. And it's in large part to my friend Allie, who shared about her joy of cooking. This weekend, I was able to find some joy in cooking. It was creating. Now, I've shared before, but food is often a trigger for me. I've worked in the past to have a healthy relationship. And if I'm honest, it still remains a very big part of my story. This weekend, I really ground down into finding what fueled me and what would make me happy as I nourished my body. So big good news. And thank you to my friend Allie. So let's get into the meat of the episode. I titled this episode, Why Not, for a very key reason. The idea of why not has been a mantra, even more so in the last year. This quiet drumbeat has been the reason I said yes to myself more in a variety of ways. From this podcast to opening myself up to relationships, to being more honest with the need of healthy barriers. I kept thinking about why I had to take a chance. Because when I started this, it was born out of a desire to find more good news, share more good news. It was the summer of 2020, and I admittedly was really sinking into a place where I could believe the bad every single day. I felt strongly that there was good news around us, somehow. Even oftentimes when it didn't feel like it, I knew there had to be something I could latch on to. Maybe it's a new name for a gratitude practice. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, that finding good news is really about finding the gratitude in each day. But it's more so just the idea of recognizing the little joys we have in each day. Some days it's calling a friend after way too long, or grabbing a cup of coffee and saying hi to the barista, or maybe it's even just a healthy prognosis for a family member. There is good, maybe just the shadows that makes it hard to see. If I'm honest about the podcast, the idea of why not didn't mean immediate action. While it could for a lot of people mean that they're going to just, why not means they're going to just go. For me and for the Your Good News podcast, I slowly started from buying a mic to taking a course over a very long few months to telling just a few friends. I, for a while, let the why be my narrative. Why me? Why should I host a podcast? Who would even listen to me? Why me? Why should I share other good news? And it took me a while to realize I let that why be my narrative, all of those whys. Then I also had to live with the disappointment of not doing something I kept thinking about. It took putting it down on a piece of paper to claim it as an option that I started to in earnest work on the podcast. I asked those around me to share their good news. And slowly but surely, this little engine that could grew. I'm proud that I've created something that brings folks joy, something that fills others' cups so that they can share their good news. So this is my question for you today to just noodle on. Are there areas where you are living in the why? I'd encourage you to say, why not? If you liked, please share, subscribe, and join me next week for another episode of the Your Good News podcast.